For a long time now, I've been dreaming about leaving my job as a software engineer to take some time to pursue landscape photography. Not for money or fame, that's highly unlikely, but to attempt to master the craft and perhaps create a portfolio that I would be proud of. I've been working on it for a few years now, but a full-time job simply does not allow time to reach the level that I hope to reach, and certainly doesn't provide enough time to backpack deep into the mountains or travel to remote corners of the world on a regular basis. So when 2020 came, I finally pulled the trigger. After all, what's the worst that can happen? When I put in my 2-week notice at work, we were nowhere near having a global pandemic. There were no cases in Europe or the US back then. On my last day, everybody was working from home, travel was shut down, national parks were closing, and the mountains were quickly becoming a distant dream. This is not the sequence I was hoping to start off this YouTube channel with. I envisioned myself throwing my backpack into the car, climbing up to a beautiful ridge far in the mountains, setting up camp, and waking up to a beautiful sunrise. But my intention with this channel is to share the journey, regardless of whether it goes well or not. This is a sort of experiment I'm doing on myself. We usually only hear the stories of people who already became well-known artists and cinematic footage from travel influencers that makes reality seem more glamorous than it actually is. So what happens when a regular person sets out on a quest to become a landscape photographer? That is what I would like to share on this channel. So, since currently the nature areas around here are mostly off limits, I've decided to record my first vlog here in the apartment and talk a little bit about what I've been doing during the quarantine. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So, I've been wanting to start this channel for a long time now and start actually sharing what I've been doing with my time since leaving my job, but it's been taking forever to figure out the lighting and how to edit video and how to do video correctly on the camera and things like that. But we're finally ready. So, welcome. So what have I been doing? Well, most of my time has been actually spent here on the computer, same as before. And I would say about 70% of my time has been spent on processing past images, improving my workflow, and further narrowing down my creative direction. And just to show you a little bit of what I mean, I won't get into the super technical stuff like luminosity masks or adjustment layers, though I can talk about that for hours. So if you are interested in hearing about that, let me know. But yeah, for now I won't get too technical, but just to give you a quick example, here is what an image looks like before any of the edits. And here is the final image. You can see how much has changed. You have to blend multiple exposures, enhance and shape the light to make it actually feel the way it felt when I was there, and of course enhance the depth and make the image feel three-dimensional. And you have to add some painting-like qualities to make it really feel magical, the way it really felt when I was there looking at this beautiful sunset. And this can take many hours on a single image, especially while you're still trying to optimize your workflow. For comparison, here's an image I took on the same trip processed less than a year ago. I think I can see a noticeable improvement, so I'm actually very happy with my progress. I would say it's almost good that I have been stuck at home for these past 2 months, because it gave me time to deep dive into my post-processing. Before this, I was working on processing for 2 hours every morning, then I would go to work and work at least 8 hours, and then on weekends I would try to go backpacking. And for me, that was just not quite enough time and a bit too heavy of a workload to really be able to focus on my creative work the way I wanted to. Besides just improving my processing, I'm finally figuring out my creative direction, and I'm so happy about this. So, for example, here's an image by Daniel Corden. He's one of the most famous landscape photographers today. I processed my own take on it for an editing contest. So here is the raw image so that you can see it's not just my raw images that look awful. And here is his take. And then here is my take on it. I think the hardest part is knowing what your vision is. I mean, you can edit it like Daniel Corden, or you can edit it the way I did, and someone else might do it in this kind of faded film-like style that you've probably seen on Instagram. And all of these are acceptable. So you have to find a style that is yours. This can take years, and I think it's absolutely necessary. If you have inconsistent images, you're giving the viewer bits and pieces of different worlds that don't really work together. Instead, you have to give them a consistent world to be immersed into. And so one thing that I found really helpful with this, and this is something I've been working on as well, is creating inspiration galleries for myself. For example, here's my Enchanted Forest gallery. I started off with other photographs, and you might recognize some of them here, but I slowly gravitated towards fantasy art. And this actually is the painting that I used for inspiration for processing my version of Daniel Corden's image. I decided to go in this direction after thinking about what it is I'm trying to convey. And for me, the experience of being out in the wilderness is a lot like playing an RPG. You travel on quests to these faraway lands, then you come back to town and acquire new gear and learn new skills so that you can go out into higher and higher level zones. And actually, this experience of backpacking, it kind of combines my love of these fantasy epic stories with my love of nature and being out in the wilderness. So that's about 70% of what I've been doing. The other 30% has been spent on figuring out video, on updating my data backup situation, and also on doing some scouting and planning locations for the future. I love using Google Earth to scout for possible compositions and use that in conjunction with other maps to plan my trips. For example, this one has actually been really helpful in recent times due to the quarantine in helping to find places. The blue areas are owned by the state of Washington, and they're now opening up, while the purple and green areas are national lands, and currently they are mostly closed. So I will leave a link to this map in the description. So this is actually really exciting. This means that some places are now opening up for day trips, and what I really hope to share on this channel is the experience of being out in the wilderness and really share the magic of these places and how I experience them. So the next time I'm sharing an update, hopefully it will be from some of the local woods or mountains. So yeah, pretty excited about that. But that's enough of me talking for one day. Thank you so much for watching. If you are also a photographer and you're going through a similar journey, or if you just have any thoughts in general, whoever you are, I would love to hear them. Please leave me a comment. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.